Hello again, welcome back to WoW Training. I am Eagle Eye on my Prot Pally here, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing when it comes to a Prot rotation. Unlike most other classes and specs in Warlords of Draenor, there actually is somewhat of a rotation when it comes to the Prot Pally. The rotation happens because of the timing of your abilities, and we're going to get into macros here in a little bit, but I'm going to show you what I have going on down here. From left to right, we have Crusader Strike, Hammer of the Righteous, Judgment, Avenger Shield, Consecrate, Holy Wrath, Holy Prism, Single Target that heals 5 people, and then Holy Prism heals 1 person, damages 5, AoE damage for 5 people around him. And I went over that macro in my talents description video for Prot Pally, and you can see that there. Then there's Hammer of Wrath, there's your Execute ability, and you have Sacred Shield. Now I also have Sacred Shield bound to my heal bot, where I just right click and I put Sacred Shield on myself or whoever I right click on, and left click is Word of Glory. Anyway, so that that way I can shield other people or heal other people as needed in a raid. So anyway, let's just look at these. First of all, we have these two are on the same cooldown, right? So you hit number 1 and 2 will go on cooldown. If you hit number 2, then number 1 will go on cooldown. So those are on the same global cooldown. The difference between this is that Crusader Strike is a single target attack that does more damage than Hammer of the Righteous. Hammer of the Righteous, however, is an AoE attack, so it's really good for when you are fighting, trash. And what I actually may end up doing is macroing these together in the same one, where Alt 1 will be, when I held Alt, it'll do Hammer of the Righteous. Because most of the time, especially when you're fighting, a boss, it's going to be single target damage anyway. So, I can make that change relatively easy. But for the sake of right now, we're just going to keep them separate. So these build 1 holy power, right? Judgment also generates 1 holy power. And Avenger Shield will generate a holy power if you proc your passive ability. Where is that? Empowered Avenger Shield? No. It is... I know it's one of these. Grand Crusader. When you avoid a melee attack, you have a 30% chance of refreshing the cooldown of your next Avenger Shield and causing it to generate 1 holy power. So that's a builder as well. Those Grand Crusader procs are very important for when you're using something like Holy Avenger to build holy power 3 at a time, and then use that holy power for either a Shield of the Righteous or a Word of Glory. 90% of the time, you're going to be using your holy power generated for Shield of the Righteous, which is why in my macros here, as you can see, my Crusader Strike, the macro casts Shield of the Righteous, and then Crusader Strike, and then Divine Protection. If you look further, like my Hammer of the Righteous does the same thing. It uses both trinkets, cast Shield of the Righteous, and then Hammer of the Righteous, and Divine Protection. So Divine Protection is always on cooldown, 8 seconds out of every 30. The interesting thing about this is it's very important that you put this in this order. If you were to change it around so that Shield of the Righteous happens here, what you would have happen is, prior to pressing this macro, let's say you have 2 holy power, the cast of Hammer of the Righteous would generate your 3rd, and because you have 3, your Shield of the Righteous would go off. So there's no opportunity to spend a 3 holy power Word of Glory there. So instead, you want to make it so that your Shield of the Righteous you try to cast it, you only have 2 holy power, it doesn't go off. So now you cast Hammer of the Righteous, now you have 3 holy power, and if you don't hit another macro like this, you can use a Word of Glory that's 3 holy power and get the full benefit of your Word of Glory, along with your whatever that is, your other procs, Bastion of Glory. So, yeah, Bastion of Glory is part of the Shield of the Righteous. As, you know, as you use it, you build up Bastion of Glory procs, and it stacks 5 times. You use those, and it increases the strength of your Word of Glory by 17% per stack. So you don't want to waste the Bastion of Glory stacks on a 2 Holy Power Word of Glory. You want to use it on a 3. That's the reason why I have this macro the way I do. Now, the nice thing about this is, if we want to do it this way, let's actually, I'll just use a word of glory to get rid of my stacks. Ooh, here we go. So I'm going to go through my rotation and show you, and you can see my Shield of the Righteous. I don't have my weak auras set up right, so it's not showing the proper amount. It should be showing that absorb shield, that sacred shield absorb, as the text. I haven't gotten that figured out yet, or fleshed out. Anyway, so what we're going to do here is evaluate the times on these. Now, Crusader Strike and Hammer of the Righteous, they have a 4.5 second cooldown. Your global cooldown is 1.5 seconds. Now, because of that, what that means is that you can get 3 global cooldowns done before the Crusader Strike comes off a cooldown. So you do Crusader Strike and then 2 other things, and by the time those 2 other things are done, you can go back to your Crusader Strike. So every third ability should be Crusader Strike because you want to build as much holy power as possible. Judgment, on the other hand, has a 6 second cooldown. Now, all these cooldowns are reduced by the haste that you have. There's a nifty little passive thing that you have. Let me see if I can find it here. It is called Sacred Duty? No, maybe I think it's just built into things now. It used to be an actual thing in your spell book. But basically your haste impacts your cooldowns of your main tanking abilities. All right? Yeah, it's built in now. It used to be an actual thing that you got, not an ability that you use. It was a passive. So, like, at a certain haste, your global cooldown is going to be 1 second, but that'll also bring down your Crusader Strike cooldown to 3 seconds, right? So you'll always be able to fit 3 global cooldowns into the cooldown of Crusader Strike. So Crusader Strike will always be your third thing that you hit. The question is, what do you do in those 2 additional global cooldowns between your Crusader Strikes? What you're going to do is you're going to want to build another holy power with your judgment all the time. So what you're going to basically do is, if you consider your Crusader Strike / Hammer of the Righteous cooldown to be A equals 4.5 seconds. Your judgment is B, so B equals 6 seconds. Right? Everything else is an X, and that's a filler. So your first time through your rotation is going to be ABX. So Crusader Strike, Judgment, and then some sort of filler. And usually that's going to be like Avenger's Shield or Consecrate to start off with. The problem is, of course, your next thing is going to be A, right? Your next thing is going to be A because your Crusader Strike is off a cooldown. But remember, B was second, so we had an X, then an A. Well, you still have a 1.5 second global cooldown before Judgment comes off, so you have to have another filler there. So now it's AX, B for your second time through your rotation. So that means Crusader Strike, filler, Judgment. So now, of course, we go with A again, but what comes next? Well, you have 3 global cooldowns, and you just did B, so you have to wait a fourth till the fourth one, which is going to be another A, of course. So you have to have 2 fillers for that third time through the rotation, so you have AXX, the third time through the rotation. But now both Crusader Strike and Judgment are off of cooldown, which is how you started in the first place, so you just do it again. ABX, AXB, AXX. So that's your rotation. Basically, Crusader Strike, Judgment, Filler, Crusader Strike, Filler, Judgment, Crusader Strike, Filler, Filler. That means you have 4 fillers that you need to span throughout the entire 3 different cycles of your rotation. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start off here, right? And just watch the rotation as I go. 1, 3, 4, 1, 4, 5, 3. Oh, I'm sorry. I messed that up because of the Avenger Shield proc. I'm not concentrating as I should be. Let's give myself a word of glory. Let's try this again. 1, 3, 4, 1, 5, 3, 1, 4 comes off a cooldown, or 6, and now we're back to normal. 1, 3, 5, 1, 7, 3, 1, 4, 5, 1, 3, 6, and all you really need to do is look what's off a cooldown from left to right. At this point, you'd probably put on a Sacred Shield or something. You had nothing that you could do for there's going to be times there's nothing you can do except for maybe refresh a Sacred Shield or do something else. There's actually a gap in this because of the way the cooldowns mesh up, because Consecrate's a 9-second cooldown, modified down by haste. Avenger Shield is a 14-second cooldown. Of course, you get procs on that, so that'll throw things for a loop. You're going to want to use those procs every chance you get because it gives you an extra holy power. But you'll also notice that when I do this, you'll see down here, I have the little thing that shows the duration on my Sacred Shield, or Shield of the Righteous, I mean. And every 3, all I have to do is just double tap the button, and it'll go. So 1 and 6, and I'm going to refresh my Sacred Shield. A, B, X, A, X, B, A, B, B, or X, and then that should have been X. The most important thing is that you're hitting your Crusader Strike and your Judgment every time it's off of cooldown. You're hitting your Avenger Shield every time it's off of cooldown and when it procs, so that you can get as many of those as possible, and then filling in with these 4 or these 3, keeping your Sacred Shield up, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Nice thing is, you see my Divine Protection comes off a cooldown, it automatically goes on cooldown. Boom, boom. 1, 4, 3, 1, 5, 7, 1, 3, 6, 1, 5, 3, 1, 4, and then Sacred Shield. As you can see, it all kind of meshes together, and once you get into the habit, once you get into the rhythm, you'll just do this automatically. I like to take as much things off of the mental workload as possible. That's why I macro in a lot of these abilities. But you'll also notice that all of my mitigation abilities and self-heals are all right above here. I can hit myself with the Gift of the Naru because I'm Dranny. Guardian of the Ancient Kings, Ardent Defender, Lay on Hands. My Divine Shield is up here. I probably shouldn't have that so close to all my other ones. But yeah, that's pretty much all you need. You can get your get Healbot set up, so Alt left, Hand of Protection. Hey, look, I just hopped myself. Yay. Alt right, Lay on Hands. All that stuff is available. And so you use your Healbot to heal the raid, hit, Hand of Freedom, that kind of thing. Set up all your hands in to target whoever you're clicking on in Healbot. But this is all you really need. All that you see here is all you need as a pally tank. Now, of course, you got your Hammer of Justice, your Reckoning for taunting. You got your Silence with Rebuke. You got your CC with Repentance. I don't even need this over here. Word of Glory, because that's part of my Healbot. There's my Speed of Light, so I can just hey, there we go. I'm running away. And that's all you really need to know. Pally tanking is very easy with if you just use these tools. That oh, and by the way, always use Seal of Insight. Never use Seal of Truth. You're not a DPSer. Heal yourself. Anyway, that's all I got for now, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you later.